Hello and welcome to Set for Smash Moveset Concept. We're back with Fighter Pass number 03, and I decided to make a little experiment with this one. I gave 5 different characters of my choosing a code name and asked you guys to vote who you wanted to see first. And the lucky winner with the most votes out of all of them was codename Red Alchemist, who, from what you saw in the trailer, was Ringo Ondo. To get to know her origins, you should know that Ringo is part of the Puyo Puyo universe, the very same universe that Arl and Amity are from, if you haven't seen my moveset concept on them before. Though she actually first debuted in Puyo Puyo 7, but most people recognize her first debut in the West in Puyo Puyo Tetris. Unlike Arl and Amity, Ringo actually comes from the human world, more specifically a town known as Suzuran. Ringo is a highly intelligent young student in Suzuran, being a member of the science club along with her childhood friend Maguro and other classmate Risakuma, who is a bear. However, she can't seem to handle things that are illogical like ghosts, or when Puyos come falling from the sky in her hometown. But with the help from a mysterious student who turns out to be Arl, she actually calculates the outcome of how to handle Puyos and becomes a Puyo Puyo expert. Will she have the knowledge to take on the characters of Smash Brothers, or will she find everything incredibly illogical? Getting into the details, I want to explain this first. If you've yet to see my video on Arl and Amity's moveset concept, I highly recommend checking it out, not just to help out with the channel, but it'll also give you a better understanding on how I want to work Ringo into Smash Brothers, as Ringo will be a semi-clone of both Arl and Amity, but there will be some noteworthy differences. You can kind of see there are some differences within their stats. Height and weight are actually very similar to Arl and Amity's, as well as her defense will vary depending on the garbage Puyos, more on that later. However, she actually a little overexcels in both attack and knockback, but she does suffer because of below average speed and jumping ability. And just like Arl and Amity, her ability is just the same. It will involve the Puyo system. For those who don't know, the Puyo system is something I integrated from the original game into Super Smash Bros. Every time you start a match, you automatically have 3 little garbage Puyos. But the more you hit a character with a specific physical attack, or with actual Puyos, the more garbage Puyos will stack within the meter. This will be integrated into both Ringo's spells as well as her defense power, as the more garbage Puyos you have, the more powerful spells you can use, as well as protect yourself from high-hitting attacks. The higher level spells can only be activated if you have a certain garbage Puyo level. The series symbol is of course the Puyo symbol. The victory theme is Arl's theme, which is also the Puyo Puyo theme. For Ringo's taunts, her first one will actually have her in a thinking stance, trying to calculate the specific outcome, or trying to better understand what's going on in Smash. Taunt number 2 makes her pull out an apple, and then she says, "Let's battle." And for her third taunt, it's her iconic getting shocked pose. If you're a Puyo Puyo fan, this is a very reoccurring gag of Ringo, as when she gets freaked out about something, she always enters a type of shock. With the color palettes, the first will be her modern design, which also originated in Puyo Puyo Tetris, which is a sleeveless summer school attire. Color palette 2 is actually a different outfit entirely, where she's actually wearing her entire school uniform, as this is also based off her original look from Puyo Puyo 7, and has been shown at times that she does still wear this uniform, and the color palettes will go in that set order, with color palette 3 giving her purple hair, inspired by her classmate slash best friend Maguro, color palette 4 giving her yellow hair, and a somewhat white lab coat attire similar to her other classmate, Risakuma. Color palette 5 is actually inspired by garbage Puyos. Color palette 6 gives her a blue uniform, but her hair color is inspired by Arl, as Arl actually did wear one of the uniforms originally in the first game. Color palette 7 is a light blue design inspired by Ekolo, who you can consider as Ringo's arch nemesis, or rival. And the final costume is her uniform in a purple attire, but instead of a Puyo pin, she's actually wearing a Tetramino pin, inspired by the character T from Puyo Puyo Tetris. For victory animations, an apple will be thrown into the air and Ringo will catch it and then eat it. Victory animation 2 is the same, but instead of an apple, a Puyo will actually appear instead, and before Arl eats it, she'll freak out. And for her final victory animation, she'll be in her calculated pose again, but then she'll snap her fingers, realizing she found the solution. Moving on to the standard attacks, her jab will be a one-handed hand chop. If you press the A repeatedly, she'll keep doing the same hand chop over and over again. For her dash attack, she'll actually start running and spinning her arms around, flailing. This is actually inspired by an animation in Puyo Puyo Tetris, but it's a little more similar to how it works like Luigi's dash attack. For her side tilt, she'll summon a book and she'll do a sideways chop. All the moves that are integrated with her book actually have the highest amount of knockback. For her up tilt, she'll do an upward book chop, and for her down tilt, she'll do a spin kick. For her side smash, she'll summon a giant colored Puyo. Here's a little something I kind of wish I added back in my Arlen Amity moveset concept, but that would be a next meter showing what kind of Puyo you'll be throwing next. The reason I'm adding this now is because every time you always stack 4 more Puyos of the same color, they pop automatically. And trying to make a Puyo pop will be a lot more easier for characters like Arlen Amity as well, adding a little more to that puzzle side to her moveset concept. With the up smash, she'll summon a Puyo above her, and it'll pop automatically. This is a great way to also get rid of specific Puyos you don't want, so you can also properly strategize how to use which Puyos for what situation, as well as to find the perfect one to use for perfect color stacking. For a down smash, she'll summon 2 Puyos between her. The Puyos will of course stay for a good amount of time, unless of course you pop them with a specific color type, though if a character touches a grounded Puyo they won't get any knockback whatsoever. It's only when she summons the Puyo you'll get knockback. For her standard aerial, she'll actually summon the book and electricity will shoot around her. For her forward aerial, she'll do a forward book chop, and if you happen to sweet spot it, she can even spike opponents. For her back aerial, she'll do a back book chop. Her up aerial, she'll actually throw a Puyo above her. The reason I didn't add this for Arlen Amity's moveset is because Ringo actually does throw things above her, and most of the time it's usually an apple. And of course, the down aerial will be throwing a Puyo under her. For her grabs and throws, she'll first grab an opponent with one hand, and for her pummel, she'll zap a person with her finger. And of course, just like Arlen Amity's throws, she'll throw characters just like how you usually turn Puyos in Puyo Puyo. Forward throws will throw them a full-fledged clockwise, back throws will be fully counterclockwise, up throws will be throwing upwards counterclockwise, and a down throw will be throwing them clockwise downwards. Moving on to the special attacks, I decided to actually change it a bit from Arlen Amity's versions, but you can actually switch them around and they could actually work in either way. So, Ringo's standard special now is her spells. By pressing and holding the B button, you can actually charge up the specific spell you want to use. But you need a lot of garbage Puyos in order to summon a specific spell. So her level 1, which if you just tap the B button, is Sane, where she'll shoot a tiny spark of electricity. It doesn't have great distance, but it's a good keep off me tool. Her level 2 is Cosine, where she'll actually summon an electric wave of energy. It'll actually trap foes for a little bit. Her level 3 is Tangent, where she'll summon a thunderbolt similar to Thoron but not as strong, but it can be deflected back at Ringo, so be careful. Her level 4 is Algorithms. Algorithms actually is a really different one, as she'll actually summon her book and smack it down on the ground. If you get hit by Algorithms, you'll actually be buried momentarily. And her level 5, which is her max level, is Calculus. Fully charged, she'll actually take a small giant leap in front of her, and a giant spark of electricity and flowers will appear, working exactly like Bio-N, or a shorter distance Wolf Side B. The Kirby hat is Ringo's hair with the green Puyo pin. For her side special, it's Puyo Toss, but it'll work slightly differently. Ringo will actually throw 2 Puyos that'll spin clockwise at the foe. But if you do it in the air, she'll actually throw it under her. If the attack does get deflected, it automatically pops, though Ringo doesn't get the garbage Puyo points. Her up special is Garbage Puyo Drop, where she'll shoot garbage Puyos under her and send her flying. The more powerful the garbage Puyos are, the farther the distance she can fly. And finally, her down special is the Counter Spell, which is of course a counter/reflector, which will double on her garbage Puyos. For Ringo's final smash, it of course is the Puyo Chain Attack. She'll summon a giant Puyo, and anyone who gets popped within it will be sent into a combo attack similar to Arlen Amity's I made for them. Except of course it'll be Ringo spells, where she'll use Sine, then Cosine, then Tangent, then Algorithm, and then ending it off with Calculus. And of course garbage Puyos will be landing on top of the foes as well. And with that, we have Set for Smash Ringo Ando. Thanks for watching Set for Smash. If you want to keep supporting content like this, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. Thank you so much for watching, and tune in to the next moveset concept, codenamed Dark Blue Kaboom. Hello, and welcome to Set for Smash Moveset Concept. and today we'll be choosing Character 2 of Fighter Pass numero 3. Codenamed Dark Blue Kaboom, it's none other than King Bob-omb. King Bob-omb first debuted in Super Mario 64 as the first boss of the game in Bob-omb Battlefield, being the king of the species known as Bob-ombs. After his debut, he barely made any few appearances in other Mario games, though Nintendo has recently been reusing him for multiple titles such as Mario Party, and is playable in games like Mario Kart World Tour and the most recent Mario Golf game. Now, I wouldn't say he's the most wanted Mario character in Smash, but I still would love to see what this big behemoth of a bomb could do in Super Smash Bros. Beginning with the details, King Bob-omb is a really big character, on par with being heights like Bowser and King K. Rool, being one of the most bulkiest characters in the game. For his weight, he'd actually be the heaviest character in Smash Bros., having very strong attack and defense, and having some of the most powerful knockback within the series. Being a heavy hitter who can take hits as much as he can dish it, unfortunately he would also be categorized as one of the slowest characters in Smash Bros., even slower than Incineroar, with having jumps as bad as Steve from Minecraft. Though his first jump is a little higher than his second air jump, he has no other types of movement options. When entering a stage, he actually turns around and then looks at the foe, getting ready for battle, just as Mario first meets him for the very first time. The series symbol is obviously from the Super Mario series. The victory theme is of course the main theme of the Mario series, but it will be the villain rendition. For his taunts, his first one will have him brushing his mustache. This is the kind of idle he does fairly often. For his second taunt, he'll do a standing marching formation, somewhat similar to what the armies do, as he does kind of rule an army, which are the Bob-ombs. Not to mention the Bob-ombs are well known for their marching, as well, blowing up. Taunt number 3, he flexes. For the color palettes, his first is obviously his default dark blue design. Costume 2 is a more black colored design, more referencing his original look from Mario 64. Costume 3 is a bright red, referencing the other Bob-ombs you see in Bob-omb Battlefield. And the rest of the colors are more based off other types of Bob-ombs you see in other Mario games, with palette 4 being green, gray, brown, white, and the last one will be his gold form from Mario Kart World Tour. For his victory animations, he'll be looking at the background, and then he'll turn around and look at the camera. For victory animation number 2, he'll actually start flexing. And for his final victory animation, he'll be watching his Bob-omb army marching along towards the victory. This is actually a reference to the portrait that you see that enters into Bob-omb Battlefield. This would be both a nice homage to where he originated, as well as the species of the Bob-ombs. Moving on to the standard attacks. For his jab, it'll just be a single one-hit punch. For his dash attack, he'll actually roll into a ball. As he does do this in the cinematic for Mario Golf, it's actually more of a reference to the cannonballs in Bob-omb Battlefield. For his side tilt, he'll do a kick. For his up tilt, he'll do an uppercut. And for his down tilt, he'll do a foot stomp similar to King K. Rool's, which yes, will vary. For his side smash, he'll actually swing his entire elbow trying to hit the foe. For his up smash, he'll do an upward headbutt with the highest damage being on the crown. And for his down smash, he'll slam his metal butt onto the ground, trying to squish his opponents. Any attacks that use King Bob-omb's weight as a whole are some of the most heavy-hitting attacks that he has. For his standard aerial, he'll actually expand his arms and legs out, similar to characters like King Dedede and King K. Rool. For his forward aerial, he'll do an air kick. For his back aerial, he'll do a back punch. For his up aerial, he'll punch his arm upward. For his down aerial, he'll do a foot stomping animation, similar to Pac-Man. For his grabs and throws, he'll pick up the foe with 2 hands, and for his pummel, he'll actually tighten his grip to add a little more damage. For his forward throw, he'll do a powerful one-handed throw. King Bob-omb's throws have the highest knockback of all of his attacks. For his back throw, he'll turn around and still do a one-handed throw. For his up throw, he'll throw the enemy upwards with both hands. And for his down throw, he'll slam the character downward and then sit on them. Next up is the special attacks, starting of course with his standard special of being Bob-omb Toss. Though Bob-ombs are already an item in Smash Bros., these Bob-ombs will work fairly differently. By tapping the B button, King Bob-omb will throw a regular Bob-omb, but when the Bob-omb lands on the ground, it'll immediately start dashing away, and explode effective immediately. Fairly different from the Bob-omb item. And to know that there's actually a difference between the two, King Bob-omb's Bob-ombs will actually flash red. For the Kirby hat, of course Kirby would have the crown and giant mustache, but he'll also have the color palette and the eyes of King Bob-omb. For the side special, it's Bouncy Bob-omb. King Bob-omb will take a leap and then land on his buttocks. Another heavy hitting attack, but if you tap the B button before he hits the ground, he'll actually bounce again. You can repeatedly bounce King Bob-omb up to 5 times. You could even change the direction of where the bounces will go. However, King Bob-omb can't do anything until he lands on the ground, so if you use this attack off the edge, he will freefall. But if you happen to hit a character off the edge, you can also take them down with you. I should also note that a lot of attacks that King Bob-omb uses will have super armor in them, mostly his smash attacks and of course his side special. For his up special, it is Cannon Launch. One of the most iconic moments in Mario 64 is of course getting shot out of a cannon, and considering it originated in Bob-omb Battlefield, it makes sense this would be his up special. King Bob-omb will enter into a cannon, and then if you hold the B button and then move around the analog stick, you can actually choose where the cannon will fire, though you do have to be really quick about it as it will fall really fast downwards. But it will give King Bob-omb a lot of launching material, as this is the best way for King Bob-omb to actually recover from being knocked off the arena. Also, if you use this attack on the ground, the cannon will actually stay in the arena, and if you happen to throw a projectile within the cannon, it'll shoot it right back at the foe. You can even launch Bob-ombs into the cannon, adding a little more creativity towards the ability. But if you use your up special again, the original cannon you fired will disappear. And finally, King Bob-omb's down special, I like to call Countdown. When King Bob-omb activates this attack, he'll start blinking red for a little bit of time. What this special attack does is it gives King Bob-omb a temporary speed boost. Though still being the slowest character in Smash Bros., this will actually move him up to speed a little bit. But just as the title of the move is called, it is counting down how much time you have left to use this speed boost, until King Bob-omb explodes. This is probably King Bob-omb's most powerful and probably useful attack, as it will leave an explosion as big as King Bob-omb. However, there is a catch to using this ability, and that is the recoil damage once you explode. At full power, you can take 25% recoil damage from this move, but considering he is a heavy hitting tank, it's going to take a lot of damage in order to knock out King Bob-omb. You can also deactivate Countdown by pressing down B again, still causing an explosion but with less knockback capability, with the lowest of recoil damage losing it up to being 5%. For King Bob-omb's final smash, I'm going to call it Bob-omb Bombardment. King Bob-omb will summon an army of Bob-ombs that'll dash towards the foe and explode. Anyone who gets caught by the exploding Bob-ombs will be sent into a cinematic. It'll show King Bob-omb and an armada of cannons firing away at the foes. It will show some explosives, but it'll show some Bob-ombs have survived, only for it to end with King Bob-omb landing on the ground, causing a massive explosion. And just like Incineroar's final smash, anyone who happens to be near the final smash will also get caught within the explosion as well. And with that, we have set for Smash King Bob-omb. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more moveset concepts in the future, make sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. You can also check out my brand new series, Enter the Multiverses, where we look at moveset concepts for characters within the world of Warner Brothers, and how they would work in the free-to-play game, Multiverses. But until then, tune in to the next moveset concept, codenamed Purple Maiden.
マナの障壁、プリズマティックウォール。その程度の攻撃は効きません。これで終わりです。はあ
Hello, and welcome to Set for Smash Moveset Concept. Today, we're going to be talking about character numero 13, my lucky number, and it's Cleo. Cleo is the third party member you get in the free-to-play game Dragalia Lost, which unfortunately will be discontinuing at the end of November. I've been a big Dragalia Lost fan since day one, and it's still sad to see that this franchise is officially over, only to live on through multiple YouTube videos, such as my compilation known as Dragalia Month. If you haven't seen it, I recommend checking it out, where I talk about my favorite moments in Dragalia Lost and the potential it could have or will have in the near future. I should also note this won't be the last Dragalia Lost character I'll do a moveset concept for, as I do have 3 more ideas left. But until then, let's learn more about Cleo. Cleo is a part of the Sylvan race. At a young age, Cleo went to the Halidome in order to help in any way she can for Alberius, the founder of Alberia, and one of those tasks is to be the protector of the castle in Misselt, until the day that she would run into Uden, who would want to form a pact with Midgardsormr. She may not look it, but Cleo is well over 300 years old. That's because the Sylvan actually has a longer lifespan than an average human. After joining Uden's party, she became the designated healer of the group. Though she is capable of using different other types of magic, as she has the most costumes of all the Dragalia Lost characters, does she have what it takes to handle the characters of Smash Brothers and protect Uden or even go against him? Let's find out. Let's get this detail right off the bat. I know some people were actually curious why I excluded Cleo from my moveset concept of Uden. One reason was because I wanted to keep it a 4-party system with Uden included, just like in the Dragalia Lost games, and the other reason is because I could actually see Cleo working as her own character. Beginning with her height, she actually has the typical female height like Princess Peach or Daisy, though her dress and hair do give her a slightly bigger hitbox. This also affects how she also moves around in the game, as she is a mid-heavy character, and she is pretty slow. Because, interesting fact, Cleo is not much of a runner, as she tires out real easily. But she does make up for that for some very good attack power and some above average defense, though her knockback and her jumping ability are below average. When entering a stage, it'll of course be similar to the Summon Showcases, as Cleo has had different iterations in the Summon Showcases. The series symbol is the Alberian dragon on the flag, and the victory theme will be the Dragalia Lost theme, with a special outro theme that plays right after it, similar to my moveset concept for Uden. For her taunts, her first will be the emote when she does Now Is Our Chance. Her second emote, she waves her wand a bit. And for her third taunt, she actually has a shy expression. Her color palettes were actually probably the hardest thing for me to detail on Cleo, as she has the most costumes out of every Dragalia Lost character. There was even a joke about it on Halloween. But I've decided to break it down to 4 costumes specifically, with a different color palette based off the specific characters. With the first costume being her default design, which is under the healer class. Costume number 2 is Yukata Cleo, the last costume she got within the game. Costume 3 is the Forger Cleo outfit, free character you got within the Princess Connect crossover event. And of course, her 4th costume is her Gala variant. As for the different color types, Costume 5 will give her her standard look, but a color palette inspired by the character Melody. Costume 6 will be Yukata Cleo, but she'll have a color palette more inspired by Lothna, a reoccurring character within the Dragalia Lost series, who actually had an interaction with Cleo during the same event where she got the Yukata outfit. Costume 7 is her Forger outfit, but the color palette is inspired by Pecorine, as Cygames is the developer of this game, so I figured that'd be a nice little homage. And her Gala outfit will give her a color palette inspired by Alberius. Not his Summon Showcase version, but his original design, though funny enough, her hair actually looks like Pikachu. For victory animations, it was actually really easy, as her first victory animation is under the healer unit, victory animation 2 is for the staff units, and her third and final victory animation is based off her Gala outfit. Moving on to standard attacks. For jabs, her first one will actually be an animation similar to Palutena, as she'll thrust her wand forward and magical energy will come out of the tip. For dash attacks, she swings her staff at the foe. For her side tilt, she'll actually shoot small balls of energy at the foe. She'll only do this up to 5 times, with the 5th one having a killing blow. For her up tilt, she'll actually have an animation similar to Villager, but she'll be using her staff as if it were a feather duster. This is the only reference I have for Cleo being the caretaker for the Halidome, as she handles a lot of the cooking and cleaning around the castle. For down tilt, she'll swing her wand with a magical sweep. For her side smash, she shoots a magical beam of energy at the foe. The bigger the charge, the bigger the beam will go. For the up smash, she'll shoot a beam of energy upward, similar to Lady Palutena. And for down smash, she'll shoot a magical circle right under her. For a standard aerial, she'll spin her wand similar to Lady Palutena. For a forward aerial, she'll swing her staff, and 3 magical spells will shoot in front of her. These can be deflected. For a back aerial, she'll swing her wand behind her, and she'll shoot a bigger, powerful spell. For up aerial, she'll actually shoot her wand above her, and a big explosion of fire will appear, a reference to one of the abilities of Yukata Cleo. And for her down aerial, she'll shoot a shooting star under her, referencing her forager costume. For her grabs, she'll actually grab the foe one-handed and stomp on the person with her foot. But the throws were actually probably the trickiest thing I could think of for Cleo, but then I remembered something that really terrifies a lot of characters with her. So for her forward, upward, and back throw, she'll actually give them a menacing stare. This menacing stare will scare the foes and push them either forward, above, or behind Cleo, just so you don't get on her bad side. While her down throw, she'll just punch you in the stomach, and you'll be down for the count. Though this is technically more of a reference to Cerise, another Sylvan from the Dragalia Lost series. For the special attacks, Cleo's standard special was probably the hardest one I had to think of, not because she doesn't have a signature move, it was just hard to choose which one to go for, but I decided to go with her Gala attack, Ancient Ray. By pressing and holding the B button, you can shoot up to 3 beams of energy in front of her, similar to how Sora summons Thunder. But if you do only one charge, only a tiny beam of energy will shoot in front of her. So the longer the charge, the more powerful the attack is. For the Kirby hat, it'll be Cleo's hair with her headpiece. For Cleo's side special, it's her secondary ability from her healer unit, Ancient Aegis. This actually has 2 different types of abilities. For one, when Cleo activates it, it'll give her a defensive shield around her, giving her temporary super armor. Not only that, it'll also be a temporary deflector. Though the more times you use this ability, it will get weaker and deactivate much shorter, so there has to be a recharge time every time you use it. For Cleo's up special, it's her Forger attack, Starry Veil. Cleo will actually jump upwards like a shooting star with an aurora of energy shooting around her, with the explosion actually sending her flying being the start of the animation. And for her down special, it's her signature ability, Elder Cure. This ability of course is fairly useful for Cleo, but for more than one reason. For starters, if you press and hold the down special, Cleo will automatically start healing herself. However, you'll only heal 0.5% every second, meaning the more heals you get, the weaker the healing ability comes. Of course, the activation of the ability does take quite a while to start, but the payoff of this is it's actually very useful also in team battle, as no matter where you are on the stage, you can even heal your teammates. As that's how I want to make Cleo work in Smash Bros. Though she isn't the most defensive or even fastest character, she makes for great attack and great distance within her abilities. For Cleo's final smash, it's a more over-the-top version of her signature move, Ancient Ray, which I like to call Ancestral Ray. When activating the final smash, Cleo will summon a barrage of energy beams shooting downward at the arena, and of course you can control which way they go. The final smash ends when a massive beam of energy shoots straight downwards. This works similarly to both Ness's PK Starstorm combined with Lucario's Aura Storm. And with that, we have set for Smash, Cleo. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you're a big fan of Dragalia Lost like I am, make sure to check out my video retrospective on the Dragalia Lost series, which I happen to call Dragalia Month. And if you're new to the channel and want to keep supporting my content, check out some of my other videos, including my other moveset concepts, like the one I made for Yuden, or even the other ones coming soon. I also have another moveset concept series known as Enter the Multiverses, where I look at moveset concepts for characters who would work in the world of multiverses. Thank you for watching, and tune in to the next moveset concept. And it's pretty easy to guess who it might be. After all, his codename is Orange Cyclone.
A great power has awoken. Crash? I fear it portends an event of reality-shattering proportions. I feel it emanating from Insanity Peak. Quickly, we must go! Crash! Crash! Crash!
Hello and welcome to Set for Smash Moveset Concept, where we look at video game characters and how they would work in the world of Super Smash Bros. And today is a character a lot of people really want to join the battle, myself included. It's none other than the orange marsupial himself, Crash Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot debuted in 1996, exclusively on the PlayStation 1, called, you guessed it, Crash Bandicoot, originally made by the company Naughty Dog. Crash Bandicoot was created to lead the army of Dr. Neo Cortex in order to take over the world. The only problem was, Crash was kinda stupid. He's defeated Cortex time and time again, when he's struck back and even warped. Over the many years, Crash has actually had many different titles, some good and some we'll never talk about. But I will be basing his moveset more on the mainline games of the series. Does Crash Bandicoot has what it takes to spin into action for Super Smash Bros? Let's find out. So let's begin with the details, starting with this piece of information I want to say first. There are already a few other YouTubers who've already done moveset concepts for Crash Bandicoot. There will be some comparisons, mostly because we see how Crash Bandicoot would work in Smash Bros. Hence why the moveset concepts I do are usually characters most people haven't done yet, or are hardly seen. Though there are some characters I won't be doing moveset concepts for, mostly because there are better channels that do a better moveset concept for the character already. So characters like Rayman and Waluigi I will never be doing moveset concepts for, unless I can find a unique spin on the character. Bad Crash Bandicoot pun aside, Crash would be the standard platform size height compared to Mario and Sonic. Though surprisingly enough, he would actually be a mid-light character with some slightly above average speed. Though his attack is actually below average, he's actually a pretty weak platform fighter. However, what makes Crash Bandicoot special is that he actually has the highest knockback out of all characters. Meaning Crash isn't really a combo-heavy character, but he has a lot of great keep-off-me tools. He has 2 high jumps, and he's capable of crawling as well. Crash Bandicoot also has a unique ability, which of course is Aku Aku. When starting a battle, Crash always has Aku Aku with him, and when doing some attacks, Aku Aku will also join him. Aku Aku adds as an extra hitbox as well as some extra defense for Crash's attacks. However, Aku Aku doesn't make Crash invincible. If Aku Aku is hit with multiple attacks or with a very powerful one, he will disappear, leaving Crash in a more defenseless state when it comes to combat. When entering a stage, Crash of course enters through a teleporter. The series symbol was always a bit of an argument for a lot of people, but I think it would be the face of Crash Bandicoot himself. More specifically, the Insane Trilogy remake design, as I think that best represents the series of Crash. It's Crash Bandicoot. For the victory theme, I think the Crash Team Racing one is I think the best one, though it would be edited shorter to match with the victory themes of Smash Bros. For Crash's taunts, his first will have him spinning a Wumpa Fruit. For taunt number 2, he'll spin and do a peace sign. And for his third taunt, he'll actually do the Crash Bandicoot dance, which you can cancel out of real instantly. For the color palettes, of course his first would be his default design. Palette number 2 would be more inspired by the blue hyena color. Palette 3 is the yellow Shiba. Palette 4 is the skunk variant. Palette 5 is a brighter red, referencing Evil Crash from Crash to Insanity. Palette 6 is more colors inspired by Crunch. Palette 7 is an alternate costume, which is the Biker Crash. And Palette 8 is Fake Crash, a reoccurring joke character. For his victory animations, his first will have him shaking his head until a crystal, or gem, or relic will appear, showing to everyone for victory. Victory animation number 2 will have Crash spinning and then he'll do his ba-da-ba pose from Crash Bandicoot 1. And for his third victory animation, it's actually a 2-parter, with the first being of course the Crash Bandicoot dance in all of its glory, while the second variant is actually the Fake Crash dance, but this one can only be active if you have the Fake Crash costume on, as it best represents Fake Crash. Moving on to the standard attacks. For his jab, it'll be a punch punch and then a spinning punch. For his dash attack, he'll do a slide. I was originally thinking of this as a down tilt, but you'll see what I change it to later. For his side tilt, he'll do a spin kick. For his up tilt, he'll do a spinning uppercut. And for his down tilt, he'll do a spinning slide. A move that was made in Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. For his side smash, he winds up his arm, and when unleashed, he'll swing a powerful punch in front of him, similar to Sonic's side smash. For his up smash, he'll actually crouch down when charging, and when unleashed, he'll actually do a jump split kick, referencing his high jump maneuver from Crash Bandicoot 2. For his down smash, he'll crouch down again when charging, and when unleashed, he'll do a short hop and then do a belly flop, similar to King K. Rool's down smash. For his standard aerial, he'll do an aerial spin. If you have Aku Aku, he'll actually spin around Crash. For his forward aerial, he'll do an airborne drop kick with Aku Aku in the front, and for his back aerial, he'll do a backwards drop kick with Aku Aku in the back. For his up aerial, Crash will actually kick one foot into the air, an animation similar to Hero's up aerial. The only difference is, this one will be better. And obviously for his down aerial, it's his iconic belly flop attack. For his grabs, he'll actually grab characters two-handed and then hit him in the head with a headbutt. His forward and back throw animations will be similar to Mario. For Crash's up throw, he'll do an animation similar to Dark Pit's, only with higher knockback. And for his down throw, it'll be an animation similar to Link's, mostly because I thought it would look funny. Next up is the special attacks, and you can probably guess what the standard special is. If you don't, it's of course the iconic Power Spin, a move that is iconic to Crash Bandicoot himself, and one of his highest hitting knockback attacks. Just by tapping the B button, Crash will of course spin. Any characters who get caught in the cyclone will be sent flying. If you press the attack multiple times while moving, you'll actually do the multi-spin, though you can't keep it on indefinitely. It is a pretty good get-off-me tool. However, this standard special is not capable of deflecting projectiles. The Kirby hat will obviously give him Crash's ears, hair, eyebrows, and nose. For Crash's side special, it's the Polar Dash. Polar appears under Crash, and Crash rides Polar in a dashing animation, based off the iconic animal riding segments from the Crash series. If Polar happens to run into a character or item, Crash will actually also get sent flying himself, giving him a little more extra distance, also turning himself into a hitbox. For Crash's up special, it's actually a unique combination, which I call the Super Jetpack Jump. This actually comes from two different Crash games, the Jetpack, which appeared in Crash Bandicoot Warped, and the Super Jump, which originated in Crash Bandicoot Entranced on the Game Boy Advance. By pressing and holding up B, Crash will actually enter a state of pose while the jetpack is right under him. When letting go, Crash will let out a super powerful jump, with the help of the jetpack of course. The more powerful the charge, the higher Crash will fly, and is probably one of his greatest recovery tools. And Crash won't go into freefall. Unfortunately, his special attacks, excluding his standard special, will be unusable. And for his down special, I feel like is probably the biggest thing about Crash, and that is something that he's used to breaking. His down special is the crates. By pressing the down special, a crate will fall from the sky and land on Crash's head. If the crate successfully hits in the head, he will take damage. You can activate your down special and then immediately guard or dodge, and depending on the crate type, different things will occur. If it's a standard crate, it'll immediately be destroyed and a piece of Wumpa Fruit will appear. If this hits Crash in the head, Crash will take 0.3% damage. If a question mark crate appears, it'll actually stay in the arena, and characters can pick it up and throw it. When broken open, a random item will appear. If items are turned off, it'll just be a Wumpa Fruit. If a bouncy crate appears, Crash will actually take no damage when it lands. Instead, it'll actually bounce. The crate will bounce around the arena up to 5 times and then break. Another crate that appears that's also important is the Aku Aku mask. Unlike in the games where you can actually collect up to 3 and then go invincible, you can only collect 1 Aku Aku mask per match. And the only way to get a new Aku Aku mask is through the down B. But if an enemy destroys the crate, Crash will not get the ability. If a TNT crate appears, it'll bonk him in the head, and then stay in the air for a limited amount of time, until it counts down and explodes. If the TNT crate lands on the ground, it'll stay there for a certain amount of time, where the counter will appear and then explode, or if an enemy happens to get near it or even pick it up. I should also note that the crates that you pick up will be as heavy as regular crates in Smash Bros. If the Nitro crate were to appear, you have to dodge immediately, because if it will hit Crash, he will sustain a lot of damage. If on the ground, it'll just stay there until someone makes contact with the Nitro crate and then explodes, being another one of the most deadliest items in Smash Bros. Also, it's impossible to pick up the Nitro crate. But it's not the most powerful crate Crash has, as his most powerful is the Steel crate. As if you spawn this one, dodge immediately. If you have an enemy right under the Steel crate when it lands, it will do massive amounts of damage. If you're already at a high damage pool though, it'll instantly KO you, referencing of course how impossible it is to destroy these crates. Also, they're impossible to pick up. For Crash's final smash, I like to call the Insane Explosion. Crash will put on the Aku Aku mask and dash in front of the foe. If a foe happens to be caught, they'll be sent into a cinematic where they crash land in front of a massive amount of TNT and Nitros. And then you see Crash hit a green exclamation crate and then bounce out of there, causing a massive explosion. characters with over 100% damage will instantly lose a stock. And considering this is an explosive Final Smash, anyone who has to be near the cinematic will be sent flying thanks to the explosion. And with that, we have Set for Smash, Crash Bandicoot. Thank you for watching. If you like this moveset concept, be sure to check out some of my other ones I made. And if you like all my other work that's on my channel, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. And tune in to the next moveset concept, the final character of Fighter Pass 3, codenamed Greenlight. Hello and welcome to Set for Smash Moveset Concept, where we look at characters within the realm of video games and see how they would work in Super Smash Bros. And today is Fighter Pass number 3's final character, codenamed Greenlight. And it is, of all people, Frogger. And yes, I know this is a really weird choice, but hear me out on this one. Frogger first appeared in 1981 in the arcade classic known as Frogger by Konami, and is another one of those iconic arcade games people used to love. And in the past few decades, more specifically late 90s and the early 2000s, Frogger has had a bit of an identity crisis trying to stick with the modern games. So much, in fact, that it was actually really hard to decide how this moveset would work at first. But I've decided to actually keep it original with some unique ideas integrating with Frogger in some way or form. With the only exception being anything from Frogger and the Great Quest, because
the game is actual diarrhea, no!
And even though Frogger is an iconic Konami character, there are probably far more better choices that Konami would choose, with the only exception that Konami is, well, Konami. So let's see whether or not Frogger has what it takes to jump into Smash Bros. Beginning with the details, his height was a tricky idea of concept. With his design being based more on his modern look, he actually stands really high and tall, but in Super Smash Bros. He'll actually be sitting down like, his classic look, being in a downward crouch similar to Greninja. Being, of course, well, a frog, Frogger is actually a really light character with an average speed, but with below average attack and very weak defense. But he does make up for that with above average knockback and 2 very high jumps. He's also capable of wall jumping and clinging onto walls. When entering a stage, Frogger will just hop right in. And the series symbol was a little tricky because I was not really a big fan of the remake design, so I'd actually decided to go with the classic arcade look of Frogger, with a unique twist. Same with his victory theme. Though the rendition is from Frogger 2, Swampy's Revenge on the PlayStation 1, this theme song is technically based off the original victory theme of the game. For Frogger's taunts, his first will have him standing on his hind legs and doing a stretch, similar to how Ridley stands tall, showing how tall he actually is. For his second taunt, Frogger will just croak, because he is a frog. And for his third taunt, he'll actually hop in a 360 spin. It's a reference to how you can spin Frogger around before choosing where to jump, in the GameCube and Game Boy Advance games. For his costumes, his default design will be based off his modern look. While the rest of the color palettes are also somewhat of a reference to other Frogger games, they are also references to other types of frogs. Take a wild guess what each color palette's based off in the comments below, with the second color palette being yellow, color palette 3 being blue, color palette 4 being purple, color palette 5 being orange, color palette 6 being cyan blue, color palette 7 being pink, and the last color palette will make him a lighter green with standard green spots. Some people would actually say this is a reference to the Great Quest, but again,
the game is actual diarrhea, no!
It's actually more of a reference to the classic look of Frogger, just without a yellow mouth or belly because, he's wearing clothes. For his victory animations, his first one will have him eating a fly, and then looking at the camera in victory. For his second victory animation, he'll jump in a safe spot and then look at the camera, and he'll have a happy look, knowing that he's in a safe place. For his final victory animation, a truck will drive by and dust will appear, and once when the dust clears, you see Frogger made it to the other side of the road. Moving on to Frogger's standard attacks. His jab will just be a 1-2 punch. For Frogger's dash attack, he'll just do a headbutt. I should also note when Frogger runs, he does a small little hop in front of him. Again, more referencing the classic Frogger games. For his side tilt, he'll clap his hands in front of him. Somewhat similar to Donkey Kong's side smash, only vastly weaker. For his up tilt, it'll be same as Banjo-Kazooie's. For his down tilt, he'll do a leg sweep that'll actually have some incredible reach, even off the edge. For his side smash, he'll swing out his tongue like a whip. For his up smash, he'll swing his tongue upward whip-like, meaning that Frogger's tip of his tongue will have the top amount of damage, while his down smash will be a stomping animation, similar to Ridley's. For his standard aerial, he'll actually croak and then inflate his body, pushing anyone close to him away. while his forward aerial will be an axe kick, his back aerial will be a drop kick, his up aerial will be an upward crescent kick, and for his downward aerial will be a foot stomp. And no, this move will not spike or send Frogger flying down. For his grabbing animations, he'll pick up foes two-handed, and for his pummel, he'll do a knee jab, with his forward throw being a drop kick, his back throw being a back kick, his up throw having a super high jump slam, similar to characters like Kirby and Charizard, and for his down throw, he'll stomp on the opponent, sending him upwards. Next up is the special attacks, and I think this was probably the hardest thing for me to choose, especially for someone like Frogger. But I did my best, and here's what I came up with. Starting with his standard special, he'll actually whip out his tongue. The animation will be somewhat similar to Yoshi's, but there is actually a big catch of how this one works. When Frogger actually picks up an enemy, he'll go straight to them and do an automatic command grab. However, if his tongue touches an item, he'll automatically pick it up or consume it, depending on what it is. If a projectile or thrown item hits the tongue, Frogger will easily consume it and then spit it right back at the foe, working as a deflector. However, flammable items will cause small damage to Frogger. What's even crazier is this standard special is a tether recovery. Frogger will actually cling onto the edge and then go straight back to it. For the Kirby hat of this form, it'll just be a Frogger hat. For Frogger's side special, it is known as Turtle Ride. Whether you're on the air or not, a turtle will appear above Frogger and then start dashing forward with Frogger riding him, working like a cross between characters like Go-Goat and Piplup, with the only exception being Frogger can jump off the character anytime he wants, and the turtle will continue to fly forward until going off the edge, or disappearing. If you use the side special again, the new turtle will replace the old one. For Frogger's up special, it's the High Jump. This originated in Frogger Beyond. And as the move says, Frogger will do a super high jump. But unfortunately, it only works really well on the ground. If you use this jump special in the air, he'll only go half as high as he needs something to actually jump to, jump high. But here's the twist. If you happen to be near a foe, you can actually do a footstool jump instantly on them, and you can even spike them if they're at a high enough damage. Meaning it's a great kill move and a really good recovery, depending on how well you use it. And for Frogger's down special, it'll be the super jump, which is actually incredibly different from the high jump. As for this down special, Frogger will do a jump flip, which can be used as an auto dodge as well as an attack, working similarly to Sheik and Zero Suit Samus down special. What's also really cool about this down special is you can also cling to walls. For Frogger's final smash, it is called Traffic Jam. When you activate the final smash, Frogger will dash it forward. If an enemy or three are caught, they will be sent automatically into a cinematic, where they'll land right in the middle of traffic and cars start running them over, until a giant big rig appears and runs them over, sending them flying. And with that, we have set for Smash Frogger. He may not be the strongest fighter, but he is probably the most acrobatic fighter, having moves with good distance and keep off me tools, not to mention to have a good versatile attacks to keep away from his opponents, as well as find a good way to navigate through the stages, just like in the games themselves. Thank you for watching. This is the season finale of Fighter Pass number 3, and even though that's the end of this Fighter Pass 4 is already in development. And here are the next Moveset concepts.